This is the EdExcel GCSE 9-1 Maths paper 2 from the foundation paper, and it's a calculator paper from the November 2018 series. Question number 1, we have to write down the value of the 4 in the number 542.3. Well, we've got 100 tens units and then tenths. We've got 542.3, and therefore the value of the 4, we've got 4 tens, so we have 40. Question number 2, we have to write down a square number that is also an odd number. Well, for the square numbers, we've got 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, etc. What we want is an odd number, so we could have the 1, the 9, the 25, the 49, so on and so forth. I'm going to write down 25. Question number 3. For part A, we have to change 4,560 grams into kilograms. Well, we've got grams and we've got kilograms. To go from grams to kilograms, we divide by 1,000, and kilograms to grams, we times by 1,000. And so if we work out 4,560 divided by 1,000, it turns out we get 4.56, and therefore we have 4.56 kilograms. For part B, we have to change 7.3 meters into millimeters. Well, to go from meters to millimeters, we times by 1,000. Millimeters to meters, we divide by 1,000. And so 7.3 multiplied by 1,000 is 7,300. So we have 7,300 millimeters. Question number 4, we have to work out the cube root of 64. So if we've got 64, what we are doing is we are cube rooting 64. And if we type this into our calculator, we have the cube root of 64, which is 4. So the cube root of 64 is 4. Question number 5, we have to write 0.31 as a fraction. Well, if we type in 0.31 into our calculator converts this automatically into a fraction. And therefore we are left with 31 over 100. Question number 6. Here are 4 fractions. We've got 3 quarters, 5 sevenths, 19 25ths, and 11 15ths. We have to write the fractions in order of size. Start with the smallest fraction. Well, what we'll do is we'll convert each of these to a decimal. If we have 3 quarters, press STD to convert it into a decimal, we get 0.75. Next we've got 5 sevenths, so if I type in 5 sevenths and then convert this into a decimal, it turns out we get 0.71428, etc. Next we've got 19 over 25, that's 0.76. And then we've got 11/15, which is 0.73 recurring. So now we need to write this in order. Well, the smallest one will be the 0.71428, etc., followed by the 0.73, etc., followed by the 0.75, followed by the 0.76. And therefore, we've got 5/7 as the smallest, followed by the 11/15, followed by the 3/4, followed by the 19/25. Question number 7, we have to simplify 3m minus m minus m plus 3m. Well, what we have here is 3m subtract m, that's 2m, subtract another m, that's 1m, plus the 3m, we get 4m. For part B, we have to simplify 2 times n times p times 4. 2 times 4 is 8, and then we are multiplying this by n, and then multiplying by p. Question number 8. A map has a scale of 1 centimetre to 14 kilometres. On the map, the distance between Manchester and London is 18.8 centimetres. What is the real distance in kilometres between Manchester and London? Well, what we know so far is 1 centimetre is represented by 14 kilometres. And what we need to do is convert the 18.8 centimetres into the kilometres with our given scale. So if I multiply both sides by 18.8, we have 14 multiplied by 18.8, and it turns out we get 263.2 kilometers. Question number 9. For part A, the nth term of a sequence is 3n plus 4, and we have to explain why 21 is not a term of this sequence. Well, if we have 3n plus 4 equaling 21, subtracting 4 from both sides, we will end up with 3n equals 17, and therefore n is equal to 17 over 3. As 17 over 3 is not a whole number, 21 is not part of the sequence 3n plus 4. And then for part B, here are the first 3 terms of a different sequence. We've got 1, 2, 4, etc. We have to write down 2 numbers that you could be used to be the 4th term and the 5th term of the sequence. Well, do you notice each time to go from one term to the next, we multiply by 2. And so if we do 4 times 2, we get 8. And then if I do 8 times 2, we get 16. And so therefore, the 4th term could be 8. And the 5th term could be 16. So what is the rule that we are applying? Well, we double the previous term to get the next term. Question number 10. Here is a number machine. We input something, we times by 5, we subtract 2, we get an output. We have to work out the output when the input is 8. So we input 8, and then after this we times by 5, and then after this we subtract 2, and then we get our output. So we have 8, and then we times it by 5, we then subtract 2, we get our output as 38. Then for part B of the question, we have to work out the input when the output is 28. Well, this time we are given that the output is 28, and we have to work out the input, so we need to use the inverse operations. We need to work backwards. The inverse operation of -2 is +2. The inverse operation of +5 is divide 5. And then what we need to do is work out the input. So we have 28 plus 2, and then I divide by 5. The input then is 6. Question number 11. Adam gets a bonus of 30% of £80. Katie gets a bonus of £28. We have to work out the difference between the bonus Adam gets and the bonus Katie gets. Well, Adam, he would get 30% of 80. So if I work out 30% of 80, we can just use our calculator. 30% of 80 is 24. Katie gets a bonus of 28, and therefore the difference between 28 and 24 is 4. So the difference is £4. Question number 12. There are 49 counters in a bag. 20 of the counters are red, the rest of the counters are blue. One of the counters is taken at random. We have to find the probability that the counter is blue. Well, if we've got 49 counters and 20 of them are red, the number of blue counters we would have 49 subtract 20, which is equal to 29. And what we want to do is find out the probability of selecting a blue. Well, that would equal 29 over 49. So we have 29 over 49. Question number 13. A square has an area of 81 centimeters squared. For part A, we have to find the perimeter. Well, if the area is 81 centimeters squared, that means the length of the square is equal to the square root of 81, which is 9. So we've got 9 centimeters here and 9 centimeters here. And therefore, for the perimeter, we would have 4 times by 9, which is 36. We've got the perimeter being 36 centimeters. Then for part B, the diagram shows a right-angled triangle and a parallelogram. We've got dimensions 9 centimeters and 16 centimeters for the triangle. For the parallelogram, we've got 30 centimeters and h centimeters. The area of the parallelogram is 5 times the area of the triangle. The perpendicular height of the parallelogram is h centimeters. We have to find the value of h. Well, the area of the triangle is equal to 9 times 16 divided by 2, which is 72 centimeters squared. And we know that the area of the parallelogram is 5 times this. So the area of the parallelogram is equal to 5 times 72, which is equal to 360 centimeters squared. And therefore, knowing that the area is equal to 360 centimeters squared, to work out the area of a parallelogram, we have 30h equals 360, so therefore h is equal to 12. Question number 14. Victoria throws an ordinary fair 6-sided dice once. She says the probability of getting a 3 is half the probability of getting a 6. Is Victoria correct? You must explain your answer. Well, she's not correct because the probability of each number is a 6th. So the probability of getting a 3 is a 6th, which is not a half of the 6th. Now, for part B, Andy throws the dice twice. He says the probability of getting a 6 on both throws is 2/6. Is Andy correct? You must explain your answer. Well, the probability of getting 2 6s, that's equal to, well, the probability of 1/6 is 6. And if I times that by 2, because I select a 6, and then I select another 6, so I multiply them, it turns out we get 1 over 36, and that does not equal the 2 over 6 which Andy says, and therefore Andy is incorrect. Then for part C, Indri throws the dice once. She also throws a coin to get heads or tails. We have to list all the possible outcomes. Well, we could get 1 and a head, or 1 and a tail. We could get 2 and a head, or 2 and a tail. We could get 3 and a head, or 3 and a tail. 4 and a head, 4 and a tail. 5 and a head, 5 and a tail, or 6 and a head, 6 and a tail. Question number 15. Remy invests £600 for 5 years in a savings account. By the end of the 5 years, he has received a total of £75 simple interest. We have to work out the annual rate of simple interest. Well, if I let the annual rate of simple interest equal x, which is what I'm finding, we can find out the interest for 1 year. So the interest for 1 year, we would have x over 100 multiplied by 600, because that's how much Remy's investing. So that's 6x. And so therefore at the end of the 5 years, we have 5 multiplied by the 6x, and that's going to equal £75. So that's the total amount of interest received. And from this we can find out what x is. 30x is 75, so x is 2.5. So we have 2.5%. Question number 16. We have to describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. Well, what we see is we have a reflection in the x-axis. Question 17. Adrian is going to make concrete. He's going to use 180 kilograms of cement, 375 kilograms of sand, and 1080 kilograms of stone. Cement, sand and stone are sold in bags. 1 bag of cement is 25 kilograms, 1 bag of sand is 22.5 kilograms, and 1 bag of stone is 50 kilograms. Adrian already has 10 bags of cement, 20 bags of sand, and 20 bags of stone. We have to work out what bags he needs to buy to make the concrete. Well, what we can do is find out how many bags of cement, sand and stone he has. So for cement, well, we've got 180 kilograms of cement, and we know one bag contains 25 kilograms. So if I do 180 divided by 25, that's equal to 7.2, and therefore we require 8 bags. Now if I compare this with the 10 bags, because this is less than the 10, we can therefore conclude that he has enough cement bags. And if we take a look at sand, well, we've got 375 kilograms of sand, and if I divide this by 22.5, I can find out the number of bags of sand we need. It turns out that's 16.6, etc. So therefore that will be 17 bags. Now, he's got 20 bags of sand available, and therefore he has enough sand. And if we think about stone, we have 50 kilograms, rather we've got 1080 kilograms, and each bag contains 50 kilograms, and therefore we get 21.6, which means we require 22 bags. And if we require 22 bags and we've only got 20, that means we do not have enough for stone. So how many more bags of stone are required? Well, 2 bags of stone then are required. Question number 18. Bill wants to increase 150 by 3%. He writes down 150 times 1.3 is equal to 195. Bill's method is wrong. We have to explain why. Well, what it should be is 150 multiplied by 1.03. Our multiplier will be 1.03. And if we work this out, we get 154.5. Then Sally wants to decrease 150 by 3%. We have to complete the statement to show how Sally can decrease 150 by 3%. Well, here, if we're decreasing by 3%, our multiplier will be 0.97. So 150 times 0.97, that's equal to 145.5. Question number 19. We have to solve 3 multiplied by x minus 4 equals 12. Well, the first thing we can do is divide both sides by 3. And if we do that, we are left with x minus 4 equals 4. And then if we add 4 to both sides, we are left with x equals 8. Then for part B, we have to factorize fully 9b subtract 3b squared. Well, in terms of the numbers, the highest common factor of 9 and 3 is 3. The highest common factor of b and b squared is b. So we have 3b multiplied by 3 minus b. That would expand and simplify to give 9b minus 3b squared. Question number 20. We've got a set of even numbers between 1 and 25. A is equal to 2, 8, 10 and 14. B, we've got numbers 6, 8 and 20, and C, we've got 8, 18, 20 and 22. For part A, we have to complete the Venn diagram for this information. Well, here are the even numbers between 1 and 25, 2, 4, 6, etc. And then we finish off with 22 and then 24. So let's fill in the Venn diagram. Well, what goes in all three of them? That will be the 8. 8 goes in all three of them. So that goes here. And then if we take a look at B and C, 20 is common to both B and C, so 20 would go here. So now let's actually cross off what we've got so far. We've got 8 and 20 crossed off. And then we've got, in terms of A then, we would have 2, 10 and 14. So that's A only. Then for B only, we've got 6. And then for C, we've got 18 and 22. And then here would have 0, and here would also have 0. And then for everything else that's not crossed off, well, that will be the 12, rather for B as well, we've got 6 only. And then for everything else, we'd have 4, 12, 16 and 24. Now, for the next part, a number is chosen at random from the set, and we have to find the probability that the number is a member of A and B. Well, A and B, how many numbers do we have? Well, first of all, we've got from A and B, we've got one number only, that's this 8. So we've got 1 out of a total of 12. We've got 12 numbers in total. Question number 21. Sean has information about the height in centimeters and the weight in kilograms of each of 10 rugby players. He is asked to draw a scatter graph and a line of best fit for this information. Here's his answer, and Sean plots all the points accurately. We have to write 2 things wrong with the answer. Well, first of all, the line of best fit does not satisfy all the points. If I draw the actual line of best fit, what it should be something like that, the line we see over here. And then the other thing that's wrong is the height centimeters scale factor is not linear. So we go from 140 to 160 to 170 to 180 to 190 to 200. What we see is here, it goes up in 20, whereas everywhere else it goes up in tens. Question number 22. BEG is a triangle. ABC and DEF are parallel lines. We have to work out the size of the angle X. Give a reason for each stage of your working. Well, first of all, what we have here are co-interior angles. So this angle here is 70 because, well, ABE here is 70, and that's because we've got 180 take away the 110, which is 70. So co-interior angles sum to 180. Then we've got this angle here, which is 75, because we've got angles on the straight line which sum to 75, which sum to 180 rather. So we've got the angle BEG, which is equal to 180, subtract the 70, subtract the 35 from here, which is 75, so that's because angles on a straight line sum to 180. And this angle here, for the same reason, is also equal to 45, because angles on a straight line sum to 180. So we've got BEG, which is 180, take away the 110, take away the 25, which is 45. Again, angles on a straight line sum to 180, and the angle X here then is 60 because we've got angles in a triangle which add up to 180. So X is equal to 180 take away 75 take away the 45, which is 60, because angles in a triangle sum to 180. Question number 23. Northern Bank has 2 types of account. Both accounts pay compound interest. With cash savings account, the interest is 2.5% per annum. With shares account, interest is 3.5% per annum. Ali invests £2,000 in the cash savings account. Bennett invests £1,600 in the cash savings account. For part A, we have to work out who will get the most interest by the end of the 3 years you must show all your working. Well, let's consider the cash savings. What we have is £2,000 being invested, and the interest that's equal, and if I multiply this by 1.025, because that's the interest rate per annum, and then because I'm investing for 3 years, I raise this to the 3, and if I work this out, it turns out we get 2,153.78. So therefore the interest is equal to £2,153.78 subtract 2,000, and if I work this out, I get 153.78. And if we consider the shares account, well, I've got 1,600 multiplied by 1.035 to the power of 3. So I've got a value of £1,773.95. And so the interest in this situation, I've got £1,773.95, take away 1,600, so it turns out we get £173.95. So who gets the most interest at the end of the 3 years? That of course is Ben. Now for part B, in the 3rd year, the interest for the shares account is changed to 4% per annum. Does this affect who will get the most interest at the end of the 3 years? Give a reason for your answer. Well, same idea. If I consider the shares account, I've got 1,600 multiplied by 1.035 squared. So that's in the first 2 years, and then in the 3rd year, the interest rate is 1.04. So it turns out we get 1,782.52. So the interest in this situation, that's equal to 1,782.52 subtract 1,600, and if I work this out, we get 182.52. So who still gets the most interest? Well, that will be still Ben, so there's no effect. Question number 24. The diagram shows a floor in the shape of a trapezium. Now the dimensions of this trapezium, we've got the base 16 meters, we've got the height 7 meters, and we've got this parallel edge 10 meters, and we've got a 5 litre tin of paint which costs £16.99. Now John is going to paint the floor with this 5 litre tin. Well, he's going to paint the floor, and each 5 litre tin of paint costs £16.99, and 1 litre of paint covers an area of 2 meters squared. He's got £160 to spend on paint. We have to find out if he's got enough money to buy all the paint he needs. You must show how you get your answer. First of all, we can find the area of the trapezium. We've got 1/2 times by the sum of 10 plus 16, and then we times this by 7. So it turns out we get 91 meters squared. So now what we can do is find out the number of litres of paint we require. For the litres of paint, we've got 91 divided by 2, which is 45.5 litres. So the reason we divide by 2 is because 1 litre of paint covers an area of 2 meters squared. So now what we can do, knowing that we require 45.5 litres, we can find out how much paint we actually need. So the number of tins we require, we have 45.5 divided by 5, which is 9.1, which means we require 10 litres. And therefore the cost, we've got £16.99 multiplied by 10, which is £169.90, and this is greater than the £160. And does he have enough money then? Well, he does not have enough money then. Question number 25. A is the point with coordinates 5, 9, and B is the point with coordinates D, 15, and the gradient of the line AB is 3, and we have to work out the value of D. Well, first of all, the gradient, that's given by the change in y over the change in x. So if we work out what the gradient is, the change in the y coordinates, that will be 15, take away the 9, that's the change in y, and the change in x we would have d, subtract 5. And we know that the gradient is equal to 3. So we've got 15 minus 9 divided by d minus 5 is equal to 3. Which means we have 6 divided by d minus 5 equals 3. Multiply through by d minus 5. We've got 6 equals 3 multiplied by d minus 5. Which means if I divide through by 3, 2 is equal to d minus 5, which means d is equal to 7. Question number 26. For part A, we have to expand and simplify 5x plus 2 multiplied by 2x minus 3. Well, 5x times 2x is 10x squared. 5x times minus 3 is minus 15x. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So if we gather together all the terms, that means we are left with 10x squared, subtract 11x, subtract 6. And then for part B, we have to factorize x squared plus 4x plus 3. Well, what we require here are two numbers which multiply to give 3 and add to give 1. So we want two numbers which multiply to 3 and add to give 1, rather add to give 4. You'd find those two numbers to be 3 and 1. So when we come to factorize, we would have x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 1. Question number 27, we have to write the number 0.00007547 in standard form. So for standard form, that's when a number is written as a times by 10 to the n, where a is in between 1 and 10. So if we've got this number 0.00007547, we need to move this decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. And if we do that, we are left with a value of 7.547 multiplied by 10 to the negative 5. Then for part B, we have to write the number 3.42 as an ordinary number. Well, we need to move this decimal place 1, 2, 3, rather. We need to move this decimal place 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So we are left with the value of 34,200. Then for part C, we have to work out 2.3 times 10 to the 4 multiplied by 6.7 times 10 to the 3 divided by 5 times 10 to the negative 8. Well, let's type this into our calculator. We've got 2.3 times 10 to the 4 times 6.7 times 10 to the 3 divided by 5 times by 10 to the negative 8. And it turns out we get a value of 3.082 times 10 to the 15.